I mean, I don't understand her. That's what you get when a person is fake. That's what you get from a person who is not genuine. They're just constantly saying things, putting their foot in their mouth, not making sense, trying to seem klug about something, but really not. It's, to me, such an insight into her character and who she is. Drop the facade, woman. Just drop it. Try to be real, because this is a disaster. What you're doing, it's a complete disaster. I don't understand this woman.
Breaking right now, growing speculation that Meghan's enforced departure from the Invictus Games was because of a brutal column written by the former Conservative advisor Amanda Platel in the Daily Mail, where she concluded that Harry and Meghan's latest act was nauseating. I can't recall anything more miscalculated. He should have resisted the urge to sermonize at the Games, because all he has done by talking of low moral character is draw attention to him and Meg's egregious failings. Now, Amanda Patel went on to say, and this is the damning line, "In all my many years as a journalist and former political spin doctor, I cannot recall a more miscalculated and nauseating public display of affection. Only a man with low moral character would think the launch of the Invictus Games an appropriate platform to seize the agenda for himself and his voraciously ambitious wife. If he and Meghan can't see how deeply inappropriate it was, it is their problem. And one which brings into question not just Harry's own character, but whether the couple have a moral compass at all." Royal YouTube sensation P. Dina joins me now. P. Dina, utterly damning from Amanda Patel, a woman who has been there at the forefront, on the front line of British politics and has seen it all, but believes that this display that we saw at the Invictus Games was worse than anything she has seen in her political career. Do you agree?
All right, let's start with the moment that made people cringe: Meghan's completely unnatural forced interactions with children. Now, let's be honest. Some people are naturally good with kids and some aren't. That's fine. But Meghan, she tries to pretend she's this warm, motherly figure, and it just doesn't work. Remember when baby Archie was little? She could barely hold the child properly. And now, at Invictus, she's awkwardly posing with kids like she's staging a Hallmark commercial. Look at this, she's not engaging with them, she's performing. And people see right through it.
Absolutely. I think people are looking to the past with Harry and Meghan and how they've always had low moral character. I think the things that they've done to their own families is a good insight into how they are as people. And then to go on a stage and speak about things that you yourself cannot even live up to says so much. And this is what needs to happen. More people need to come out and speak out against what Harry and Meghan have done in the past, what they continue to do, and to really bring insight into who they are as people, because a lot of people don't follow the royal family, but this is so egregious in what has happened. Even our president has spoken out against it. And that's what we need. We need people with these high profile people who are respected in their fields need to speak out, because this is the domination that Harry and Meghan are trying to do. They're trying to overtake, to build their brand, to overcome some kind of populace in America, to be this new type of leadership. And we can't let that happen, because they are not the ones, based on their past actions, who they are, what they stand for, how they treat people. There's a list, there's a plethora of things to understand about Harry and Meghan. And that this is why it cannot happen. And I love to see people coming out and speaking out the way they are. It says that, the work that the YouTubers that we've been doing this since the very, very beginning, people are waking up and seeing and speaking out because they too can see it. And I think it's great. We need that.
We do need that, actually. We do. And the fascinating thing is, remember, this is a couple who genuinely believed they were going to be able to make a political difference, change the world. Meghan saw herself as becoming the first female occupant of the White House. Yet
Yes,
her
yes.
PR campaign at rehabilitation has been far worse than anything we saw from Kamala Harris. And that is really saying something, P. Dina, without wanting to get particularly political here. I do want to talk too, though, about the parenting expose that we have seen at Invictus. Because, again, unfortunately for Prince Harry and Meghan, I believe they have proven that their children are not actually receiving the sort of appropriate care, actually, given everything that's going on in Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's psychological decline. So the first example of this is an extraordinary interview that Prince Harry gave. And this just shows you, P. Dina, how out of touch with reality is, how out of touch with the real world he is, because he is boasting about the fact that he is teaching his young 5-year-old son about landmines, seemingly just to be able to crowbar Princess Diana into the chat.
Folks, this is the same woman who has spent years claiming she's a humanitarian, that she's an advocate for children's rights. And yet, what has she actually done? Because from where I'm sitting, this is all about Meghan, not the kids. Now let's talk about how even the British mainstream media has had enough. Amanda Platell, a veteran political commentator, wrote one of the most brutal takedowns of Meghan yet. She called this entire display nauseating and miscalculated, and honestly, he's right. Think about this. This is a woman who has covered politics for decades. She's seen scandal after scandal. And yet she says this was one of the worst public displays she's ever seen. That tells you everything you need to know.
And what it did, Harry, is produce something for you. That was all about you. That was all about your mental health. And P. Dina, I'm sorry, I really question how on earth you're telling a 5-year-old about landmines. Let's just think what landmines are. You know, landmines are an act of war that you stand on and they blow you up. How on earth do you explain that to a 5-year-old?
You know what it says to me? That his trying to maintain a connection to his mother, his late mother, his branding and trying to be relevant is so much more important than being a father and to talk to your children about things that are relevant to them. And like you said, that is a very violent act. And to bring that kind of a violence as a talking point, as a reality that you want your child to understand, is disgusting, because that is something that should wait for a later day when the child is able to comprehend certain things around the evils of war and the brutality of it all. It really is an insight into how just Klug and how out of his mind of what reality is for a child. You know, you don't talk about these things to a child. And it's so important for them to think about other things that are not really important around me. The constant connection to Princess Diana is you can see it, it's constant, it's always, even during the Netflix documentary. It shows you that there, it just makes me really angry and upset to see that. I work with young people all the time, and this is something that should just not even be discussed. How dare you even talk about this and try to make it a talking point? And yeah, I just think he just doesn't have a good grasp on, you know, real things, the real world, reality. It's constant thriving to make his brand better, keep the connection to his late mother, and not be in the moment of good parenting, authenticity, and doing the right thing. It's always thriving for this superficial stuff, and it's harmful. I think it can be harmful to children, especially at this young age of his son. So you know, it's I guess what you would expect from Harry and you know, Meghan. They probably talked about it, you know, bring up the landmines, keep Diana's, you know, connection to Diana, and because that's what they need to rely on to make money. And it's really sad, I think. It's
Well, it is
disgusting.
sad. And look, I'm not saying for a single second he shouldn't be talking to the children about Diana, right? But it's about the context. Because
The
unfortunately,
context.
Harry, you were so psychologically effed up in your childhood, and we have sympathy for that. Of course we do. But what do you need to do? Break the cycle. Yet you are going to be passing on so many of these issues to your children. That is the last thing a parent should do. Now, with Meghan, it was
Yeah.
very different at the Invictus Games, PD. Now, what we really saw from Meghan is the fact that Just going to be brutally honest about this, and you know I've done a lot of work on this area, a lot of reportage on this area over the years. She just has no natural connection with her children, including her own. She is much happier when the staff, when the various nannies are looking after the children. And look, some adults don't. It's just a thing. Sometimes some people just don't have a connection with kids. But the problem was at Invictus is Meghan was doing her absolute best to show to her husband, I'm great with children. And again, it really backfired. So let's have a look at two of those moments.
And let's not forget, this isn't the first time Meghan has hijacked an event for PR. She turned the Queen's funeral into a self-promotion moment. She made the royal tour about her, not the Commonwealth. She even turned her own wedding into a global PR spectacle. Everything is calculated. Everything is for optics. No. People are finally calling her out on it.
What's your favorite part so far? Meeting me? Oh. No. My favorite part is meeting all of you. Are you feeling excited for your parents?
Here's an English one.
This one? Oh, sorry. Oh, not first of Manuel. We make some other fun things. Hi. Make some bracelets. Yeah. That's going over there.
And unfortunately, Pedina, what we see is children being used here. Not very well, but they're being used. Oh, what? Your favourite thing was meeting me. What did you think?
And just to repeat that and to really, really heighten that sound bite and to make it all about her yet once again. And I think Meghan just seems very awkward. She doesn't seem to be in a very natural space. We've seen her, when baby Archie was very little and how she could barely hold the child. I think Meghan just has a way about her that's just not very motherly, and she knows she needs to have children to really give her good PR. And you can see she's always moving and trying to make herself look busy and all is well, I'm comfortable. And you can see it's an act. It's a way to try to make herself look presentable in front of the children, because no one's dare going to say anything negative with the children next to me. But we can see how awkward she is. I feel she doesn't have a good rapport, a natural rapport with children. We've seen in the past children revolting against her, pushing her away, and she knows she has to try to make it look good as best she can. But somehow it just doesn't come off as authentic and very contrived. And also, like you said, using other people's children. I mean, she'll put your children in front of her and take a picture and smile all big, but dare not bring her own children around, because that's a secret. That's a secret, my children. But your children, oh yeah, we can talk to your children and have pictures with your children, because they're not off limits like mine are.
I know, the hypocrisy. Total hypocrisy.
Now here's where things get even more ridiculous. Meghan and Harry's exaggerated, over-the-top staged PDA. We have seen this pattern before. Whenever Meghan and Harry are in damage control mode, they turn up the happy couple act to 100. This isn't natural affection. This is Meghan trying to convince us that everything is fine. And let me ask you, who does this kind of thing in a long-term healthy marriage? Real couples don't need to perform. Real love doesn't need to be exaggerated. This isn't about love. This is about PR. Now the most interesting part, was Meghan actually forced to leave Invictus? Because let's be real, her exit felt sudden. And a lot of people are saying she was pushed out because of the backlash. And honestly, it makes perfect sense. The veterans didn't want the focus on her. The media was slamming her PR stunts. Even Harry seemed like he wasn't playing along. And when you put all that together, he had to go.
Now, Can we also just talk about the lies, Pedina? Because I know the Billie Eilish Instagram video has been totally overshadowed given the chaos and carnage at the Invictus Games, which actually turned out to be much worse. But do you remember in that video, we all thought it was very weird that Meghan, a mother who claims to be hands-on, who claims to take her kids to school every day and prepare them for school, had no idea what a lunchbox was. And obviously we criticized her for that and we pointed it out. And so as a result, Meghan does what she often does. She tried to clean up in her opening speech, unplanned. Yeah, right. Unplanned, her off-the-cuff speech. Yeah, right. At the Invictus Games first night. And what was fascinating is within it, she purposefully made sure that she mentioned a lunchbox. So it's like, what is it? Do you know what a lunchbox is or do you not? I put the two little segments just side by side to remind folk.
Is that a thing? The lunchbox thing? I don't know. This is when I feel really old. Rush in the morning and getting ready for school and packing the lunchboxes and making breakfast, and my husband's in all of that with us.
So it's like, I mean, number one, she thinks we're stupid. We're not. But number two, it's very, very clear that she does have no day-to-day experience with lunchboxes. I believe she was actually telling the truth in the Billie Eilish video and then thought, oh, goodness, this proves that I'm not a particularly hands-on mother. I'm going to have to backpedal.
Yeah, I did that too in one of my videos, and it was very telling because we hear what she says. We can tell when she's trying to fake it, and then she comes out and talks about, the lunch boxes later. It's like there's always something to catch her in because we were talking about the lunch boxes like right when that happened before, and then here she goes saying it in the speech later. And we just get you. We get how you are so contrived and so trying to make yourself sound important and like you know what you're talking about. And I don't know. At one point, I thought, well, maybe what she said in the Billie Eilish video wasn't the truth. And then it really came out in the speech. And then I just thought about what you just said, the opposite of that. So, I mean, I just think Megan is always faking things and trying to make herself sound so I don't know, interesting. And she just ends up putting her foot in her mouth. It just, I mean, that's just what it was. She doesn't know what it is, and then she mentions it in a speech later. I mean, the woman just is coming from all points. I mean, I don't understand her. That's what you get when a person is fake. That's what you get from a person who is not genuine. They're just constantly saying things, putting their foot in their mouth, not making sense, trying to seem klug about something, but really not. It's to me such an insight into her character and who she is. Drop the facade, woman. Just drop it. Try to be real because this is a disaster what you're doing. It's a complete disaster. I don't understand this woman. She truly is special.
So let's break it down. What did we just witness? Meghan awkwardly using children for staged PR moments. The media finally calling her out for nauseating tactics. A desperate, exaggerated PDA performance with Harry. And speculation that she was pushed out of Invictus because no one wanted her there. Folks, this is not the behavior of a beloved global figure. This is the behavior of someone losing control.